We are live. I try not to scream that. I used to get too excited. Hey, Jennifer. Jennifer and I were just chatting about the live stream going on over at Mondays with Mert, but kind of you to pop over here, or maybe she's double timing. She's multitasking. Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Tien with Projectkin and delighted to welcome you to another one of our special ride along at RootsTech series of daily live streams leading up to and through the RootsTech conference going on right now in Salt Lake City as we all sit here in our bunny slippers on the ride along, right? This is my interactive. Okay. Anyway, joining me today none other than Emma Cox, who many of you know for her incredible Journeys into Genealogy podcast, and of course, the consulting that she does as a professional genealogist in the UK. Emma, it's great to have you. So glad you could join us today, all the way also in this online world ahead of RootsTech. What's going on?
Very exciting RootsTech's coming up. I have to say that probably 1 in 3 of the emails I'm getting at the moment is something to do with RootsTech. I've never seen so much activity. It's great. There's so much going on.
You know, I think in some ways, the pandemic and 2001 and so on created this surge in family history because we were all at home, nothing else to do. But as the doors opened up, we went outside and got excited. And now we're kind of back to a new normal. And yet, what's happened in the meantime? Holy cow, technology since 2000? It's incredible. And so it's been revolutionary in so many ways, from digital scanning, transcriptions, images, to, of course, AI-fueled searches and compilations and editing and everything else of how we go about what we do. And I think that's made it a little more appealing to even a larger audience, which is, and maybe, just maybe, we're making a difference in getting more people to want to go tell their stories and work together. Because, that's the thing.
I think it's fun because I've been keeping an eye on my relatives at RootsTech and noting the numbers going up. And I looked today and I thought, oh, I've reached 300. And I suddenly thought, hang on a moment, that says 300 or 400 and something. So it's like I've gone from 200 to 400 in 2 or 3 days. It just seems to have just suddenly gone up. And it's a lot more closer relatives. I've noticed I've got a load of 4th and 5th cousins, some of whom I knew from last year, but a load are new. And I'm going through and thinking, relationship, does that look right? I was like, oh, don't know about that one. And just lots of rabbit holes. Definitely
lots of rabbit holes. Yeah. And, the brilliance that many people have been saying, the old timers who've been around this block a few times, know their way around Temple Square, so to speak, have been giving us some terrific tips of things to get the most out of the whole exercise, like making sure that 4, 5, 6 generations out, you have those collateral lines filled in. Because as you start to do that, then you start to see the cousins associated with those lines. Well, duh.
I've been tinkering. So it's like I've been adding people, but I didn't necessarily think I was adding people from those lines. But I've got people appearing from lots of different lines at the moment, which is great.
Yeah. Well, I discovered another important tip that Kyla, in particular, my LDS whisperer, explained, was how to be looking in on that ancestors list. So you can sort of see how you're related to the percentage of the people. And of course, you will be related through some ancestors will appear and their numbers are larger than the total number of people connected to you. That's because, you will have many cousins associated with that 5th great grandfather, right? And as you look at by family line, you see your immediate parents, and you can see in my case, I have through my mother 25,000 connections, almost 26,000 connections, and by my father, just approached 200. That's because my mother's family has been in the US for a very long time, or at least I thought that was a good enough explanation. And my dad's family only for 150 years or so. And the real giveaway was to look by ancestor. Because when you look by ancestor, you see a few. I have my William Coffin Jr., whom I wrote about. Actually, William Coffin Sr., my fifth great grandfather, I wrote about in one of my posts. And I have 431 connections just through him, one ancestor. And the reason, his descendants converted to LDS, and they were part of those early missionaries, as were many Quakers. And that's just one of my Quaker lines. So, that's why. And we wouldn't be here without the millions of ancestors we all have. It's a question of, do we know who they are, and are they at the show?
And it's fun, isn't it? Looking at the different parents and grandparents and just seeing how many you're getting from one another. So it's like I'm getting roughly double the number from my father than from my mother.
Exactly.
And I don't quite get it, because it's like it doesn't seem to add up to a complete number. So that 400 and something I've got doesn't make any resemblance to the 333 from one and 615 from another.
That's because there will be multiple people connected to that ancestor that makes us 600. But the total number of people, now people cross multiple ways. And so the total number of connections is what they are counting in the total number of contacts. So that number that difference accelerates as you have more connections. Mm-hmm. And in your case, I would imagine that on your dad's side, there was probably somebody who found his way, to America. And the American connection is only because that's just what Family Search has emphasized in the past. So from my perspective, the more work you do, the more Britons that sign on, the more Australians, New Zealanders, more, and I only say English speakers, all of Germany, Switzerland, Europe, Latin America, the more people that are signing on from around the world, the better the whole thing becomes, more interesting the whole thing becomes.
One of the things I always find really interesting about looking at all of this is it takes my research back a generation or two, sometimes more than that, than I've actually got, because of my tree is part of the global tree, and other people are connected further back. And then all of a sudden I've got 2 or 3 extra generations sitting in there, and obviously need to verify them, but that's really handy.
Yeah. Well, that was what it just broke a big thing open for me. I have, for a long time, just sort of had as my pet mystery to go chase. Everybody's got a pet mystery, right? My pet mystery was, why did my second great grandmother, a widow, come to America with 6 young children in tow, and her mother? Why would she do that? Her husband had just died. And the answer was, of course, as was often the case in the mid 19th century in Europe, there was a lot of poverty. There was a lot of, the Industrial Revolution changed the economies, a lot of wars, blah, blah, blah. So sure, that was enough of a reason, but with little children, why would you do that? And it turns out I was wasting my time thinking about the male line. It turns out her mother's father, so her grandfather, had come to America with his second wife's family. She was the first daughter from his first wife. When her mother died, the grandmother's mother died, he married the younger sister, had a family, and brought them to America. So she had roots in America. So grandma said, let's go. Come on, enough. He's gone. We have nothing here. Let's go. They did. Anchor babies. Chain migration.
The other thing I'm finding fun is being related multiple times to somebody. So having a look at relative finder there, and some of the Projectkin people around. It's like, I said that Deborah Carl, I think we've got quite a few different relationships. I think it's about 19 different ways we are related. More than
her
Kyla.
stuff is solid. Yeah, both of them really have solid trees out there too. And I think, by the way, for all of you out there in the land, I mean, whether all the Projectkin people we're all just hanging. We've agreed to hang out together. It's all free. We're all just hanging out and learning stuff together and sharing what we've learned. Relative Finder is another tool from it's actually students at BYU, the BYU Tech Lab, that have gained access into the Family Search APIs to be able to integrate their work. And the difference is that you can do a few more things on top of what you can see for a short period of time during Relatives at RootsTech. So you go to relativefinder.org, you log in with your family search ID. And it's the same way you can see how you're related to famous people. We have a little private group. So come on down, knock on the door. You have to say the magic word Projectkin. And then I have to see the request and I hit the accept button and you're in. And you can see how you're related to everybody else that's already in. But it can really open up whole windows. To realize, and in the case at families, relatives at RootsTech, I discovered I was connected to ancestors on my dad's side that suddenly made me realize that they were already in America, and that's where I knew to go check those, sources.
What I really like, though, is it's telling me that we're related by all of these different lines. And that's then giving me loads and loads of different information to go out and explore further and just thinking, okay,
Yeah.
what's that? I don't recognize half these names. And
Yeah.
they're so far back. 15th cousin is not exactly a close relationship. That's about your 12th times or 13th times great grandparents, I think, something around then.
That's when I have to say I am confused by how I get it up to like the fourth cousins, the fifth great grandparent, and so on. But when you start getting in those high numbers, I get very confused how those. Never mind.
I have a 10-generation chart beside me on my desk here, and looking at it, if you have 8 times great grandparents, your relations are 9th cousins. So I wonder if it's you just take one off the number. And that gives you the number of cousins.
Well, that's true when it's really close. It's certainly true. But it's when you get those really high numbers that it's no longer true. And maybe that's just because the removes are so high, right? Because the removes usually are more or less, are we the same generation? Are we roughly the same age? But as you go up in time or back in time, all the distortions start to compound. At least that's my rough logic of the thing. Hey, this got me through math classes.
But it's just fun finding all these different people, isn't it? And just seeing what information they've got that you don't already have, and who they've discovered, what the interesting stories are on their sides of the tree, and are they well known? Have they done something significant?
Yeah. Yeah. For about 10 minutes there, I was fourth cousin to King Charles the First, and then it disappeared. So
yeah, that doesn't sound right at all. So there must have been a bit
it really didn't, and it didn't last long. But it was fun for that half second. So there you go.
I think we are 13th cousin once removed at the moment is the closest, going up to 15th of the 10 different ones that are on there.
Yeah. Which oddly I only see 8. So I don't know.
It's buggy. That's one thing to mention, isn't it? It's buggy.
It is.
Yeah.
There's another very subtle change that's been added into Family Search that I don't know that's public yet or that's official. But I have noticed that and I've had it confirmed, if you go to a profile, for example, that's a fifth great grandparent, and you have added something in terms of records to it, and you have the little star marked so that you are notified when other changes are made to that. And then you notice somebody else having made contributions to that same profile, tap on that person's name, and you may very well also be able to see what your relationship is to that person and get their email address. And chat with them, which I don't think used to be the case. And apparently it's not always the case. There's some algorithm that relates to how close you are to them and presumably your bona fides for adding material. I don't know. But I was pretty impressed when I saw that the first time.
I was tinkering this afternoon with one of them on there and just seeing, because it came up with somebody and I was thinking, I'm not sure about this because I've got somebody as a great grandmother called Martha Flint and someone else has got Martha Finden. And I'm thinking, well, they've got the same name. Does that mean that they you could easily muddle up census returns after that if it's just the Martha married name as the person living. So, and looking at the person who'd made the changes, I actually did click on her name and it said, "Oh, we're 11th cousins." It's like, "Oh, are we?" And I didn't go much further than that. But no, I'll have a look at that and just see what I can do with it.
Yeah, yeah. In this case, and he just responded again today, I found I have a fourth cousin that is connected in through relatives at RootsTech, was the one that made it just was the eye opener, because he was related to someone who had arrived in this country in 1839, and I was chasing why my widow had arrived in 1853 with no family at all. Well, yeah, her grandfather was already here. Why? Because I could see that our shared ancestor had already arrived, and I'd never bothered to look to see because it just didn't occur. And even better, he had attached to that record one of these family genealogy books that was done in the 1950s that has very little, citations, but it was done, and it's 600 pages long, and it covers our shared ancestor. And there it was attached. I don't know the guy. And there it was attached. So that's why I immediately write you. I'm like, "Hello, you just transformed my world. How do you do?" Yeah, no, and these things are always treasure trove. They're treasure maps. They are not answers. They are treasure maps. But boy, that's fun.
It's picking up all the clues, isn't it? And thinking, so,
Yeah,
does it make sense? Does it add to what I've already got, or is it something where it's like, oh, and is it
right.
good, or is it, oh no?
Yeah, no, I had a similar sort of all along. I've always believed that the Page family, arrived with the Puritans in 1630, and you can see here, and this story is repeated over, which is true for a lot of the first early arrivals in the Americas, right? All thoroughly documented, except that, oops, my Timothy isn't your Timothy. It can't possibly be. Why is this all associated? Nope, that's not the same. Sorry. We were wrong all along. Oh, well, now I know. So I keep, I find a lot of those too.
I can see
And just
Andrew's
as valuable.
commented about famous relatives on there. I share some of those with him as well. So,
Oh,
um,
gosh, I fell behind here. I wasn't watching the live chat. I got
mm.
so distracted. Hello, Andrew. Hello, Linda. Lovely to Kristen. Lovely to see you all. Dominique, very nice of you to join us. Tony, we're having such a good old time, such a good old time. It is, and then finding all of you connecting to each other on the relatives at RootsTech is yeah, yeah. It's sometimes just trying to understand. Oh, Andrew, I do love the expression embroidery. Is that what I'm thinking? Embroidery is those embellishments, perhaps, to a family tree to like give it some little zhuzh. I love that,
Yes.
Andrew. That
Yeah,
has just
I have
word of the day.
a cousin. He's probably an uncle actually, on the same line that I was talking about earlier on. The name of Millard, who went out to New Zealand back in the 1800s, and he obviously embroidered what he did because he said he went to a very posh school. He said that he fought in the war. He said he was XYZ, and it's like, I contacted that posh school over here, and it's like, no, he definitely didn't go there, and he was actually too young to go to the war. But this has become part of the belief of his descendants out there. So,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
mm.
No, I think that is the kind of thing that I have found so fascinating as former colonies, all of us, former British colonies or Commonwealth share that same experience of the people who were ready to take the risks or felt the danger and the need to get the hell out of Dodge, and come to these new worlds were a unique set of people that were willing to do that. And sometimes the embellishments, the aggrandizements, the embroidery that makes those stories palatable. Boy, I sure know that my direct family had embellishments, and a lot of that is what got me going here. And even truly believed facts that, I mean, that are passed around, you can just follow the lie to see, who read the same book.
Mm.
Yeah, no, that's not
Mm.
true. I know where you read that. It's not true.
So I think RootsTech's got two different aspects, hasn't it? It's got the potential connection with living people and finding out more about your ancestors and that sort of thing with relatives at RootsTech, famous kin and everything. But then you've also got all the talks and the
Right.
different fascinating subjects that are part of all of that. So have
Yeah,
you made your schedule? Have you
I
got your
have.
schedule?
I
Yeah.
have. I have about 22 events I've told myself I'm going to go to. And then at some great advice here, I also went to all the events I can't go to because they're in person only and not recorded, and downloaded all of the syllabi handouts, so that I can read them and know what other relevant things to be pursuing to try to get
Mm.
some of that same background and information. That was such a great tip. And how about you?
I think I've got 19. So I've not gone overboard, and I've restricted myself to 3 or 4 categories, as it were, because otherwise you could spend your entire time trying to watch things and you can't retain the information and it becomes a
No,
bit too much.
right.
So I've kept my themes to researching in other countries. So I've got things about researching in Italy, Germany, and France. I've got some topics on AI because I'm very interested in that, just seeing what's happening with that and technology in general. A bit about DNA, and I'm sticking to those ones plus 1 or 2 keynotes and different things.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
about you?
I'm trying to stick to specific, well, you obviously way more. Thank you, Kathy. I just can't always say the word syllabi. Just, anyway. Um, I've tried to stick. You are so much more accomplished, so you already know the core things about your background. I'm still like the little sister running alongside, trying to catch up. But so I have focused most of my research in areas that relate directly to my own family history. So a lot of that relates to some of these early American history periods. There's a lot of stuff relating to the Revolutionary War period and whatnot that I just don't want to miss. I also, insert plug, am relating to my Stories 250 program for Projectkin. So, I, on the whole tech thing, as you know, I have a complicated relationship with tech. I do my best to stay up to date with what's happening, but at the same time, a lot of that is all happening so fast that a lot of the talks can be picked up again. For example, the fantastic talk that Genealogies had organized with Steve Little just a couple of weeks ago, that's available from the Genealogies Substack page with an incredible download from Steve Little, is a breathtaking example of what can be done immediately, or the work that Denise Allen is doing in conversations about agents now. That's just all happening at breathtaking speed. Never mind the incredible politics going on related to OpenAI and Anthropic, which is all headline news around here, going on right now. So, and then, yeah, I don't do DNA, and largely, again, it's a very tech topic, and have not done my own DNA for a variety of reasons, and I just know it's going to be a rabbit hole for me. So it's self control to keep myself away, and yeah, know your rabbit holes. I think that's a really important approach to life, is know your rabbit holes.
There are certain rabbit holes which are okay, and other ones you just think, I really don't want to go down there. Yeah,
Well, I see
at the
them
moment.
as packaging. Yeah, saving for later. It's like I don't
Mm.
have to eat all of my chocolate right now. I can save some for later and keep it in little crunchy packages to.
When you need it, a little pick
Yeah,
me up.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, for example, there's a lot of things that I have learned in Substack, has already taught me well to listen to articles, because there's a little AI button you can usually push to listen to articles instead of reading them, and or your podcast, for example. And I do that while cooking. I can't cook without having something going on. And I'm making coq au vin tonight, for example. I've already started it, and we are, and that's what a lot of those recorded, because after all, for all the things, I believe it's true that for all of the recorded programs, that all online programs are recorded, and all recorded programs are available for a year or more after the event. So,
Are you talking about RootsTech?
is that not true for RootsTech?
No.
Oh dear.
Not all programs are recorded, and not all programs are available after the event. Some might be available for a couple of days. It depends what the speaker has actually said. So it's purely down to the speaker's
And where will I see that
desires.
for the where will I see that for the event? Will it say so in the program?
It should say that it's being recorded, I believe. I haven't looked recently, but it should say that. But you will be able to download some of them for maybe up to a week. It depends on the individual speakers. Some will stay on there for pretty much forever if it's a topic that they're happy to share. But other ones, it might be that they're doing similar talks all over the place, and they don't necessarily want it to be available online
Yeah.
for
Okay.
free somewhere else.
Okay. So I will go in my handy dandy syllabi collection
Mhm.
and make notes as to which ones will not be available, or not recorded, or not available afterwards, or at limited amount of time. That's a great tip, because I did not realize that. I just sort of assumed that if it's recorded, it's available on afterwards.
No, they do disappear. But have a look in the library and just see what ones are there. There's plenty from the last
Oh,
few
I know.
years available as
Oh, I
well.
know. I
Mm.
know. I know. But in prioritizing time, I'm focused on what's new and only this. But now you've created a FOMO, a fear of missing out. And I have to be worried about whether I'm going to make it or not. So, gosh, so much of what Projectkin does is all about events that we have. The thing that you can do that you can only do during the event itself is talk to the other people that are at the event and talk
Mm.
to the speaker. But then afterwards, we have the recorded events. And you have another program. You have had a series now coming up in May. I think will be a 2-year anniversary of doing Emma Explores for Projectkin. I understand you've been thinking a little bit about what's coming up for next month. Oh, March, this month.
It is. Yeah, the
So
19th, Thursday the
the
19th.
19th. There we go.
Yeah. So
March.
I'm going to be talking about artists and sculptures and
Oh.
painters. So there's going to be somebody who is known as a fairy painter. Somebody who does stained glass or did stained glass is another one.
Mm.
So not necessarily, and some people who've done beautiful paintings, beautiful art. So I've only identified 3 or 4 people so far. So I need to carry on looking through my tree and just see what other ones I want to pull out of there.
It's an interesting question of how to spot an artist within the family tree. Pardon me. How to spot an artist within a family tree. How are you doing that?
Some of them I've known through Google searches and things like that. So it's like one I started and he's done it and his daughter's done it. So I've got the 2 of them as part of that one. Another one, it's like if you're looking at a census return or something like that, where somebody's got their occupation on there, quite often it will
Occupation.
mention that. And this
Yeah.
is where I have my fingers crossed that at some point Family Tree Maker will come up with the goods and they will actually let us download the tags for things that we put onto Ancestry. So if you put occupation as artist or anything on there, I believe that at some point in the future, Duff did tell me that you will be able to actually use Family Tree Maker and actually do reports by specific occupations and things like that.
Yeah, because even something like painter.
Yeah.
Could be a house painter.
Painter and decorator. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other hand, artist in particular, like writer is another one where they might be, sure, Emily Dickinson. They may be very famous and every descendant is always measuring their distance from that famous person. But sometimes these are undiscovered artists that no one realized, Toulouse-Lautrec, that realized that they were so significant in their day. And how do those records go down? I have self-interest here. My sister is an incredible artist who is at this point essentially undiscovered. And yet, yeah, LinkedIn says she's an artist.
There's all
Substack
sorts of
says
different.
she's an artist.
Yeah. When you're looking at your family tree, a lot of people upload pictures
Yeah.
to their gallery. So sometimes people put portraits of things. You get the national galleries in this country. So you've got the National Portrait Gallery. They will actually put portraits of pictures. So they're photographs generally rather than portraits, as in painted portraits. So sometimes that can be a little bit of a clue, but that's more significant people, not just artists.
Right.
But just start off with a good old Google search and search for your surname or search for the person's name if you're doing some research and just see what pops up.
Yeah.
And then follow the rabbit holes. Art
Right.
UK, all sorts of different things.
It really speaks to the difference between the birth, marriage, death facts of the person and the richer view of the person, where musician and artist and writer and these kinds of elements will come out, especially after they're gone. Fascinating. Well, I'm excited. I think everybody needs to pace themselves, strap on those bunny slippers and make sure they don't slip. Because
Can I do one last plug before we go?
Please.
Just before we started talking, I mentioned that the Society of Genealogists.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I did an interview with Elsa Churchill just last week. I published it on Journeys into Genealogy. And as part of that, she mentioned all the wonderful different records that they have, some of which are quite unusual. They've got customs and excise. They've got some school records. They've got employment records, all sorts of different bits and pieces, plus all the London livery companies and the guilds and things there. But looking on their website, and I get their emails, they've got a new website, by the way, so hopefully everything's fine. You can find things on there. Literally, that launched last week as well. But they're doing RootsTech watch parties as well. Now, these are supposed to be for members only, and I think it's worthwhile joining as a member because I think it's about £60 for the year. It's not a massive sum, and you get access to lots and lots of different events. You get members pricing and things like that. It's worthwhile checking that one out and having a look and see if there's any of their watch parties or their ride-along parties are of interest to you.
Well, I think maybe we're going to drop those into the notes here because I should think that sort of thing is always fun. And I am a big believer in fact, every genealogy society that I'm a member of is not local. Although I am historical society locally, but trying to find this kinds of connections and make it fluidly cross-national and around the point. Linda Stufflebean pops in here, having joined the Society of Genealogists, loving all of the sessions. And here at Projectkin, we have a soft spot for the Society of Genealogists because they were so gracious as to believe in me, 2 years ago in supporting the All About That Place Pacific Edition, because my argument was, one place studies, what a brilliant idea. Why isn't there more of that around here? So I'm excited about continuing that tradition. And I think it really does speak to that fluid nature of looking how more of these things can better support working together across, with other people on the same records and research efforts. And place is a perfect example of why people who won't know each other but are in fact connected to a historical place. But also working across national borders where we can help each other in ways we might not ever have expected, but also have these incredible organizations with deep, deep resources from their historical records to be able to help each other get there. So what a great place to end this up. Thank you, all of you, for joining Emma and me together here with embroidery and rabbit holes. And slippery paths in and out of our family history connections. All about relatives at RootsTech. I went ahead and took my relatives at RootsTech URL. You know how they do that? nifty trick I didn't know, that the little bell at the top will show you who else you've ever connected to in the past if they followed your URL, which was a surprise. So I made a redirect for my URL, which is projectkin.org/relatives. Follow that and you'll find your way to me. You could do that with any, if you happen to have a URL yourself, that's how you can make it short and simple and have people find you. So happy cousin hunting, as they say, and be careful of rabbits, and always watch for your pocket watch.
And enjoy RootsTech.
Have a good time. Thank you. Get some sleep. Bye.
Bye.